You know what? It has been an absolutely crazy, a mental couple of weeks. Normally I try and sort of drop a fragrance review, you know, share a fragrance once a week. I haven't done it for about 2 or 3 weeks. My bad. I've been absolutely running ragged. But here we go. I'm here now. I'm going to share a fragrance. It's a big one. I'm going to share it with you. Okay. So, first of all, if you've been here before, you know I am the furthest thing from a fragrance professional. This channel is not monetized. I'm not sponsored. I'm not attached to anything, not even reality. And this fragrance channel is just me sharing a hobby. I have a massive, massive passion for fragrance. I have an even massive fragrance collection, and my desire is to pass on that passion by sharing fragrances with you. Alright, now I love all things Invictus. I didn't at first though, because when Invictus was first launched back in the day, I'd sort of had enough of the bubblegum me sort of vibe. I'd had the 1 million, and realistically when I smelt it I was going, it's just a sort of deviation from 1 million. However, my claim to fame is I do not have an original bottle of the original Invictus. I've got a sample. I know exactly what it smells like. I have a ton of clones, I have a ton of the real things, and seriously, Invictus flows through my blood. If you want to know my favourite Invictus, it's this one. Original Victory. Yeah, you're going to say, what about Elixir? What about Elixir? Victory Elixir? Yes, that is gorgeous. But for me personally, this one. That was what got me interested in the Invictus lineup. This one is crazy good. This, my friends, is like vanilla ice cream on steroids. Absolutely crazy good. Okay, not much to do with the original Invictus. So I worked my way back to the original Invictus. I've got to say, I've got a load of clones, I've got a load of the real things. I love all things Invictus. Now, 6 months or so, maybe a little bit more, when Rabanne, sorry, not Rabanne, it's just Rabanne these days, trying to save a bit of ink. When they launched their new one, which is this one, INVICTUS Parfum, when they launched that, I could only see that it was available in Boots here in the UK. So I thought, Leggy, get yourself to Boots and smell it. And I went to Boots, just up from where I work, and I was absolutely convinced I was going to buy this fragrance. Now I will warn you, the 100ml is £105 British pounds. That you're almost getting into sort of niche sort of prices there, aren't you? Okay, it's a lot of money, and is it worth it? So this is the story. So I went into Boots. I was served by a ridiculously attractive blonde on the fragrance counter, and I said, is there any chance I can just sample this? And she gets it out of the cabinet, and she was going to spray it on a tester strip, and I'm like, no, it needs to go onto skin. I will not be wearing it on a tester strip. So anyway, she managed to spray my arm like that. You know, I still get it. I still get that I'm not too sure about this fragrance. Okay. So I smelt it, and although I was absolutely convinced in my little brain that I was just going to buy it, I was like, something doesn't quite sit right with this one for me. So I did the usual thing, you know, you do the elephant, you walk around the shop, do with your trunk out sort of thing, smelling. I sort of did a couple of circuits of the shop, and I thought, no, it's just not quite what I was expecting. Alright, I'll be honest with you, if you know Invictus, if you're familiar with the original Invictus, you will pick up the DNA. But what is smothered all over it is a kind of weird note, and we'll come to that in a moment. So I did a circuit or two of the shop with the old trunk out, and then I went back to the fragrance counter, and I said to this ridiculously attractive blonde, is there any chance you've got a sample? I said, because I just need to spray it a few more times before I convince myself I'm going to buy it. Anyway, she opened the drawer and gave me this sample. Look at that. Whew. Okay, and the good thing about the sample, it comes with instructions. Look at that, it tells you exactly what's inside the bottle. So I have had this sample kindly given to me, and the following day I took it to work. I thought, right, okay, I'm not actually convinced of this fragrance, but let me see what other people think. all right? It wasn't that I didn't like the fragrance, it was that it just didn't quite sit right. All right, let's be honest, Invictus, the original Invictus, is all about a sweet, sparkling energy. And this does have an energy, but it's like the energy's kind of cooped up. It's very sort of smothered, okay? So I took it to work, and the two hot female receptionists that I work with, I sprayed it for them. And trust me, both of them, their eyes lit up and they went, "Hey, that's nice, Leggy, what is that?" And I told them what it was. Okay. So that started me thinking, okay, people do like this fragrance, maybe it's just me. I then went on to spray it for another sort of 5 or 6 people at work, and there wasn't one person who wasn't absolutely wowed by this fragrance. Now I need to tell you a story. The story that actually convinced me to buy this fragrance. So I was using this sample, and I wore it, and I went up to a local supermarket. It's a long sort of thin supermarket, and I went into this supermarket, and I'm doing circuits of this supermarket, and I end up by this sort of chiller section, and I'm just about to pick up a bottle of milk. I was suddenly very well aware that there was a guy, a sort of a youth, should we say, stood almost touching me, and I sort of at the corner of my eye, I looked at this youth, and if I use the word chav, you know exactly, you're going to picture straight away. So he had a tracksuit on, a complete tracksuit, baseball cap on back to front, and he was stood right up next to me, and I was thinking, right, I'm either going to get mugged or stabbed or something bad is going to happen. So just as I was reaching for this milk, and he looked at me and he went, "Mate, you smell good." And the relief that I wasn't going to get stabbed or mugged or anything, it was like, I just went, I didn't know, I'd forgotten what I was going to reach out for, and I says, "Thanks, mate, yeah." And then a girl who I couldn't see before, who was stood just the other side of him, she sort of leaned round and went, "Yeah, you do, mate. We've been smelling you all around the shop, and we tried to work out who was smelling so good, and it's you." And I was like, wow, okay. Then I picked up my bottle of milk, and we had a little chat, and I explained to him what it was, and I would imagine they've probably gone off to go and steal one, to buy one in Boots. Okay. So this fragrance, people absolutely love it. But for me, even now, when I first spray it, it's not love at first sniff. Now let me tell you, on the instructions it tells you that there is lavender. Yes, you will pick out the lavender. It's kind of like a very fresh, very sort of clinical sort of lavender. And then, and this is the note which I think for me just goes, whoa, Leggy, not quite right, is a sensual black soap. Now I don't have any fragrances that have black soap in them. I have fragrances which come across as slightly soapy, but I don't have any in my vast collection that have this black soap. It then is in the base, it says it has an addictive sandalwood. Now I will say that as an overall thing, this Invictus perfume is incredibly addictive. Okay, now what I will also say is that from the start, from the initial spray to the dry down, there isn't really a massive amount of difference. So for me, it's this black soap, and my nose picks it out, and it takes me, and I couldn't work it out at first, it takes me to like a hospital setting, like a sort of a creepy old hospital, and it's that sort of, I don't know whether it's like a hand cleaner, an antibacterial hand cleaner, which is a soap. And for me, even now up close, I'm like, I'm not too sure about this fragrance. Let me tell you though, in the air, this is absolutely gorgeous. All right, now it's going to sound absolutely crazy. This one, my friends, has had to grow on me. So I hammered my sample, and because everyone was telling me I smelt so good, they loved it, it was great and all that sort of stuff, Eventually I was persuaded in my own little brain to go back and see the ridiculously hot blonde in Boots and make that harsh purchase. To be fair to her, and this is what to do in Boots, if you've got one of their Advantage cards, you say, oh, you know, is there any offers? And she said, oh, you can have this and you can have this. Eventually this came down to about £85. She managed to find out that there was 600 points on this, and if you did this and that and the other, she managed to find vouchers and different schemes or whatever. So I ended up paying about £85 for the 100ml, which I'm going to say, for what it is and for what it does, £85 is about right, because the performance is good. So let's just go through the smell again. It has the DNA of the original Invictus, but what picks out for me is it's smothered with an almost antibacterial black soap, okay, which up close isn't great. It kind of almost smells, for me, it kind of smells wrong, but in the air, okay, and this stuff does project nicely, in the air it's good. Now what about the performance, Leggy? You know, for £100 odd, it's got to perform good. Okay, it's pretty much Rabanne performance. This stuff, for between an hour and a half and 2 hours, this stuff is radiating off you nicely. And trust me, I say, I was in that shop and that guy and his girlfriend or his sister, I don't know what it was, don't know what the relationship was there, but they were stood very close to each other. They could smell me apparently all around the shop. So this stuff, it does radiate off you nicely. Hour and a half to 2 hours. But you know what, on my skin, after the 2 hour mark, this drops down and almost becomes very, very close, sort of intimate scent bubble. However, saying that, in the 6th, 7th, 8th and sometimes 9th hour for me, if I warm up, this just starts going again. Okay, so it's very heat activated after the 2 hours. Now, is that good performance? You know what, I'm going to say it's decent, although because it's, for me, after the 2 hours it sits then very close, I kind of wanted it a bit more sort of thing, so I do end up having to carry my little Travelo so I can should top up after the 2 hours. But for the 2 hours, trust me, you will get a lot of compliments, you'll get a lot of interest, especially females. Females absolutely love this one, and they love it even up close. They're going like that, going, that's so good. I'm like, I'm alright with it, but only sort of further away. I'm still not convinced about it up close. Okay, so who could wear it? Okay, I'm going to say Invictus, the original Invictus, is from teenage up to maybe sort of 50, 60. After that, a lot of guys are going to go, it's just too youthful. Trust me, I'm not bothered about that sort of thing. Wear it up to the grave. This one, okay, it's not perhaps a teenage fragrance. It does have a little bit of a maturity, and I'm going to say a teenager smelling it, whereas the original Invictus is such an easy wear. It's sort of obviously sweet and sort of sexy. This isn't so obvious, and I'm going to say maybe you've got to be in your 20s before you can actually get a handle on this Invictus perfume and you can wear it sort of confidently. Okay, so what would I say? I'm going to say, honestly, even if you're a massive Invictus fan or not an Invictus fan, please go and sample this fragrance. Do not assume that you're just going to love it like I thought, because I love Invictus, I'm going to love this, because it's not, it doesn't sit immediately quite right, or at least on my skin it doesn't. And I think it's that black soap note. Okay, got a bit serious in that review. Okay, I really appreciate you being here at this review, and if you would consider the little cheeky thumbs up, go on, click on that. I would be so grateful, and I'm actually really grateful you've been here. It's a long review, I've had a lot to sort of tell you, and I hope to be back in about a week. I hope not to leave it another couple of weeks. Okay, so realistically, I'm sharing a fragrance with you. I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. In fact, I'm recommending you go and smell it first. Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, three things actually, let's call it three. First thing, please come back for the next review. Second thing, please stay safe. And thirdly, this is it. This is what you need to do. Don't just have all your fragrances in your wardrobe and wear them every now and then. Wear a good fragrance every single day before you leave your house. Lather yourself with fragrance. You'll keep the smile, you'll have so much better a day. You may get a compliment, but even if nobody says anything, for your own personal well-being, lost myself then. Right, okay, I'll see you next review. Don't do anything else other than spraying fragrances. Goodbye. Press the off button. It's here somewhere. We got it.